All right, everybody. Welcome to our agent partnership training. I'm going to give this a minute or two just to make sure it hits, the spots that we needed to hit online. But I'm going to spend today talking a little bit about the agent partnership program that we have, um, how everybody can capitalize on it. If you're interested in it, why I think it's important, to agents in general, specifically, for the Cameron agents that we have, how you can take advantage of a lot of the resources that we have internally. And more than, some of the other trainings that I do, not that I need this to be interactive, but I'm going to give everybody an opportunity. I'm going to go a little bit slower than normal to allow people to ask questions should they want to ask questions. If you want to ask questions, just type your question into the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer any and all questions that we have. I don't necessarily have a specific timeline that I want to spend today. I know I've got at least probably 30 minutes of content just off the top of my head, but I do want this to be something that for everybody that's interested, a chance to ask questions that maybe you wouldn't normally ask. So without further ado, I am going to just kind of like jump into it. And again, for our brokerage, for Cameron specifically, you guys know that I've had the message pretty much forever that people should sell real estate. You're real estate agents. You should sell real estate, and you should probably always sell real estate. But it's truthfully tough, to be a full-time real estate agent. It really is. I mean, thinking back to kind of like when I started and, doing my best to sell houses, it's a tough business. So I've always been an advocate of supplementing your income with investing, both with flipping and with passive income assets as well. And the biggest, question that people say, or the biggest response that I get when people tell me that they're not ready to invest in real estate yet is they tell me that they don't have money, which is kind of a valid, like, initial, response. Like, if you don't have a ton of money in the bank, if you don't have money for a down payment, how could you, ever afford to buy a property? How could you ever afford to buy that multifamily or that single family that you want to buy as a rental property? And it's a really valid point. And for those of you who don't know, my story, that's how I started out. I started out not wanting to flip homes. I wanted to own passive income assets. I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book in 2003 and wanted to own passive assets because that's really the end game, in my opinion, for everybody. Everybody that's listening to this, if you're in real estate, you want to have 5, 10, 15, 20, $25,000 a month of passive income coming in each and every month, so that regardless of how many houses you sell with your clients, you're going to have more than enough money, to live off of. But in order to do that, you need big chunks of income in order to put down as down payments. There's not really any other way around that. But how I got around that, how me and my team accumulated a pretty good rental property portfolio, how we're building apartment buildings right now and all that good stuff, is based on the flipping aspect of the business. Truth be told, I never had any interest in the flipping business. And truth be told, I'm still not super interested in the flipping business. I don't really, get a lot of pleasure out of making a house nice and selling it. I really don't. Most people think I'm lying when I tell them that I don't go to our flip properties. I don't look at them. I don't care about them. Like, it's not, to me, it's not an interesting business. But what is interesting about it to me is the big chunks of income that it provides. So again, for those of you who maybe don't know my story, I do have two business partners. And when we started out, none of us really had much capital, if at all capital. And we started flipping houses to get those big chunks of income in order to buy the assets that we knew long term that we really wanted. So the first deal that I ever did, 13 Cameron Ave in Somerville, where our brokerage is named after Cameron Real Estate Group, was a deal where it was a listing appointment for me. The seller was a hoarder, went out on the appointment. She didn't want to sell to a traditional buyer. And And long story short, I turned that appointment into $115,000 profit. At the time, $115,000 profit going back to 2008 would probably be like a $200,000 or $300,000 profit today with inflation. I can't even believe it was that long ago at this point. 15, 16 years ago, it only feels like 2 or 3 years ago to me. But with our agent partnership program, profits truthfully of $100,000 or $115,000 are not that uncommon. In fact, I know that, if you're listening and you're a part of our brokerage, you probably don't know every agent that's in our brokerage, but we just did a deal, 20 Ruskindale in Hyde Park. We put this property, on the market. The agent who works for Cameron, who referred us the deal, his name is John Henry Davis. He got a referral from somebody that he grew up with. I think it was their mom's home. I'm going to get the exact details a little bit wrong, but all it truthfully really was a referral for a property that needed a lot of work. We went out there, we made the offer, they accepted the offer. I had a 550 ARV. And so we listed the property this weekend at 529, and we got more than $100,000 over asking. I say this not that this type of profit is, going to happen every time, but when you partner with us on a deal, all of the upside goes to you, right? Half of the upside goes to you. So in that example, like I can't quote exactly what the profit's going to be because we haven't closed on it yet. It needs to appraise. We still have holding costs, but that's probably similar to the $115,000 profit that I had in the beginning that really helped me, launch my business, not worry about the ups and downs of selling a property every month and, accumulating the assets that I think are really, really important. So, in the beginning, for me, like my background, I'm a CPA. I'm a very tech nerdy, behind the scenes type of person. I force myself to talk like this, but I'm not somebody who's out there. I don't know anything about blue collar work whatsoever. So for me, my partnership is based on the fact that I, for the first however long we've been in business, since 2008, now 18 years, I've always been able to just find properties, figure out ways to generate deals, hand them over to my partners, and then they get done. It's like, snapping my finger, they handle all of the construction side of the business. So a little bit over a year ago, as we wanted to expand our flipping business even more, we opened up this partnership opportunity. And it's the same exact opportunity for you guys that I had back in 2008. And it really allowed me to scale my business, my income, grow passive income, etc. Because now all I had to be responsible for, and all you have to be responsible for as part of the agent partnership program, is finding the deal. Now, I don't want to minimize how important that is, or it is challenging. It's not super easy, but you guys don't have to worry about the money. You don't have to worry about the construction. All you have to do is look for opportunities. Now, as agents, finding sellers who want to sell their houses should be your top priority anyways. I did a post yesterday on my personal Facebook account, basically talking about the difference between people who have a lot of success in real estate and those that don't. And the people who have a lot of success in real estate spend their first few hours every single day lead generating. It's just a fact. It's been true pretty much forever. And it's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of, hey, let me wake up, let me check my text, let me check my email, let me make a phone call, and not be on the hunt, for sellers who want to sell their property. If you spend even an hour a day looking for sellers that want to sell their property, you're going to be far ahead of everybody else. Because what happens in almost every case for most people is they wake up, they take care of the easy stuff first, they procrastinate doing the hard stuff, and then they've spent no hours lead generating in that week. So this is why, our model and our brokerage are so impactful, because when you're out there looking for sellers, generating seller appointments, you're going to get that appointment. We're going to help you on that appointment, and you're either going to turn it into a listing or a flip. If you're turning into a flip, you're most likely going to make a lot more money than if it turns into a listing. But either way, you win. And either way, as an agent, you should be spending most of your time lead generating for sellers. Working with buyers is fine. Like, buyers are a dime a dozen. And we all know over the past few years how difficult it has been to work with buyers. The NAR settlement that just came out, I've done some podcasts on this and some talks about this. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody really does. But I know this, like, this stuff isn't happening with sellers. So if I'm an agent, and I want to invest and I want to build my wealth and I love real estate and I want to stay in the business long term, I'm focusing all of my prospecting and marketing efforts on sellers. I'm spending zero time trying to find buyers. Now, that doesn't mean that if my best friend wants to buy a property or somebody, sends me a referral, that I don't work with a buyer. I'm still going to work with buyers. I'm talking about those 2 or 3 hours each and every day that you spend prospecting. You should be prospecting for sellers, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to go over the basics of the partnership program. I can't stress enough how easy this is. If I made a frequently asked questions list of all the questions I get about the partnership program, they almost all fall into the category of not important. And why I say that is because, and I'm going to say this throughout this, talk, what you need to be focusing on is generating seller appointments. Anything else, thinking about anything else is not a good use of your time. I am going to give you some of the nitty gritty about how the partnership works. But again, I'll say this over and over. The number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 priority that you need to have is to generate seller appointments. Okay, so the partnership is really, really easy. All that you need to do is generate a seller appointment, like I said, which is why you need to be focused on it. Once you have a seller appointment, somebody from my team is going to go out and they're going to meet with the seller with you. Now, this is your lead. This is your seller. When we come out, we're a buyer that's interested in buying their house. We're going to give them a cash offer. We're going to give them the highest offer that we can make and be profitable. And we're going to help them understand some of the benefits of selling to a cash buyer like us. There are a lot of benefits and a lot of reasons why a seller might want to sell to an investor, a cash buyer, etc. Even though there are a lot of benefits, in 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10 cases, they're still going to want to do the traditional listing process. So we are an option for them. We like to go out on the appointments with you. I can tell you that some of the biggest mistakes and errors and reasons why deals don't get done is when the agent tries to go out to the appointment first without us. It creates a lot of problems. We have to correct a lot of things that happened on that first appointment. So let us go out on that appointment with you. We're going to be an asset. We're going to explain the benefits. We're going to give them the cash offer. And if it's something that they're interested in, great. If for whatever reason they say, hey, I want to, go on the market. I want to do some repairs and want to get my house listed and sold for as much money as possible, we're going to let you handle that. We're going to get out of your hair. They can always keep our offer as a backup offer. Maybe they change their mind. Maybe they go on the MLS and they, don't get what they thought, or maybe they have an inspection that goes bad and they want to circle back to us. But we're going to make that easy for you, right? And you're going to get experience by having us come out on the appointment to understand kind of our objectives. So again, can't stress enough, your role in this is generating the seller appointment. We handle running the ARV comps. We're the ones making the decision on the pricing. We're the ones that are obviously coming up with the repairs. Like, we don't need help with that. We're experts in that. We've probably flipped between 12 and 1,500 houses. So we don't need you to run comps. We don't need you to run repairs. We just need the appointment. So we're going to go out. We're going to present the offer. If they accept, great. If they don't, that's okay. If they do accept our offer, we're going to put that property under contract, and we're going to give you a projected P&L of what the deal is going to look like. The projected P&L is pretty cool because you're going to know the purchase price. We're going to tell you the renovation budget. We own the renovation budget. So if we say the reno is 80 and it goes to 85, the deal is charged 80. We've done so many houses that where always within a narrow window of what we think the budget's going to be. So much so that we're willing to guarantee what the budget is, regardless of what we find behind a wall. And, there'll be some cases where we'll lose out, but we want you to know up front what the budget's going to be. There are going to be no surprises. Like, we're not going to say, hey, the budget was 80, but, I forgot to tell you at the end, budget was really 120. That doesn't happen with us. It's guaranteed. So we're going to put in the purchase price. We're going to put in the renovation budget. And then we're going to put what we think the projected sale price is. That is the least controllable of the three variables. Like I mentioned, on 20 Ruskindale and Hyde Park with our agent, John Henry Davis, went well over asking. That's a good thing. In this market right now, as I'm speaking, April, 2024, we're usually getting the benefit of the doubt there. I can't think of too many properties that we've flipped recently where we've gotten, well below what we thought. It's an inventory thing. I think we all know that. We're all in the industry, and inventory is extremely scarce right now. And for better or worse, that's benefiting, our partners, maybe not benefiting the buyers. Again, not trying to say don't work with buyers, but focus on seller, lead generation. So we're going to give you that P&L. We're then going to close on the property, and we're then going to renovate the house. During the renovation time, agents are free to ask questions. They're free to stop by, but we don't need any help there. Like, we're going to handle 100% of the renovation. We're going to pick out, all of the finishes that we know sell the best, are the most cost effective, and ultimately are going to make the deal the most profitable. Then we're going to list the property. We're going to list the property for sale. We do list that internally. Bob DeVito from our office is the one who lists those properties. We have a process that we go through to get pictures, to basically make the sales cycle as seamless as possible. So we list the property, and then you're going to find out, hopefully soon after listing the property, the offers that we got, and eventually, be a part of knowing what the offer that we accepted. And like any other sale, it's going to go through inspection. It's going to have to appraise out, and then it's going to sell. Once the property sells, we're going to reconcile everything. We're going to see how much interest we paid. We're going to give you the new P&L. Our objective is to give you a P&L at the end that's very similar to the P&L we gave you up front. Keep in mind, again, we're owning the budget. We already know what the purchase price is. So the only variables there are how long do we hold the property and what the holding costs are, a little bit outside of our control, and then what did the property sell for. For all of these deals that we've done, agents have been pretty darn happy, right? Because we've done well on a lot of them. I've broadcast some of the profits, which I really don't like doing. I only do it just to kind of say, hey, this should probably be something that you focus a little bit on, because you're killing two birds with one stone. You're looking for sellers that are going to sell their house. You're either going to get a listing, or, you're going to get an investment deal. But the key thing here is looking at how hard it is to, make $100,000 a year as an agent versus how difficult is it to make $100,000 a year partnering with us. So, the average profit that we've had so far is probably around 80 grand. You get half of that. So the average agent take is about 40. You do 2 of those a year. You do 3 of those a year. That's 6 figures a year. Again, this is going to be extra money that you didn't have, right? Like, maybe you would have turned some of those seller appointments into listings. But the net, overage is pretty big. Now, obviously, you make all that extra money. What do you do with it? Our hope is that you invest it into passive income assets, or that you invest it into syndications, or that you invest it somehow back into your business. You guys that, that are Cameron agents, you're all in the inner circle. So that's conversations that we have with people on a day-to-day basis on how to help, grow your business and do more deals. So I'm just going to look for a second. If there are any questions so far, type them into the chat box. Like I said, I'm going to go just a little bit slower today. I want to make sure I'm answering any questions, especially from our agents that, people might have. But if I don't have any questions, I'll continue to talk, and I'm happy to just, do my spiel. But I know that people, came here, probably had questions, and I don't want to miss anything. So type into the chat box if you do have a question. Like I said, I'm happy to kind of answer it. So that's how it works, right? And again, like I said, maybe 10 minutes ago, I get asked quite often about a lot of questions that are outside of what I just mentioned, with the partnership program, about the details, about how things work, etc. I will answer any of those questions today. But again, I can't stress enough that the primary thing is just to get a seller appointment, which is really what I want to talk about today, because that's really what matters. Talk to agents every week. This is a great program. There are very few and far in between agents who say, I know about the program, I think it sucks, I don't want to do it. That almost never happens. Yeah, there are a few grumpy people that maybe don't like my personality or my style, that, don't want to deal with us, don't want to work with us, but those are few and far between. Everybody else is in the category of, this is one of the most exciting things that I could add to my business right now. With that being said, we're probably partnering with one agent a week. Why aren't we partnering with 10 agents a week? If New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, if they've got 100,000 agents combined that we cover, the areas that we cover, why aren't we doing 2 or 3 or 4 deals a week? It's because the activities aren't there in order to generate these opportunities. So I know you've heard this being an agent, but it is super important that you do the right things, you do the right activities, right? It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of all of your activities produce 80% of the results. It's called the Pareto principle. And in real estate, if you generate 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 seller appointments a week, every other area of your real estate business, both investing and retail, will succeed. The rest of it, you could do everything else perfectly. You could be the perfect transaction person. You could be the most knowledgeable real estate professional. You could read all the books in the world. If you're not generating seller appointments each and every week, you're going to fail. Conversely, I've seen plenty of people who are really good at generating seller appointments who might not even know how to process a transaction. But that's the easy part, right? The harder part is generating those appointments. So I do want to talk about how to do that. There aren't that many ways to do it. That's the good news. And before I even go into the different ways, what you need to focus on is picking away, setting a metric for yourself every day, and then hitting that metric, right? And you'll know, the good thing is you're going to know whether you're on track, because in a week or two, if you haven't generated a seller appointment, you're doing something wrong. Again, you're a Cameron agent, you're in the inner circle. That's when you come to us and you go, hey, I made 10,000 phone calls. I didn't generate one appointment. What am I doing wrong? Hey, I sent out 1,000 mailers, or whatever activity you're doing. Those are the best questions for me to get. Those are the questions that are the most relevant. That shows to me that you are taking action towards doing this stuff, right? Other questions about, like, what does the P&L look like, shows me that you're not actually generating seller appointments, right? So I want to have as many conversations with people as possible about how to generate seller appointments. What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? What could you be doing better? And less administrative questions, because the admin questions, again, they go to show that you're not actually doing the work that you need to do, okay? That might sound harsh. It might even sound mean, but I have to be as honest as I can, because I want people to get the results that they deserve. In order to get the results that you deserve, you've got to do the activities. So what are the activities? So there's 2 ways to generate seller appointments. Number 1, spending money. Most people aren't willing to spend money out of the gate. Why? Because you're not confident it's going to work. Maybe you don't have a lot of money sitting around, and that's okay. But if you are going to spend money, you're either going to spend money sending mailers, running pay-per-click ads, or running Facebook ads. Those are really the 3 somewhat affordable mediums that you're going to have that are going to generate seller appointments. The thing that needs to be kind of kept in mind is that it's not cheap to do that, right? When I talk about, sending mailers or running a Facebook ad or pay-per-click, most people don't have the budget or the willingness to spend what is required. It's going to cost you on average somewhere between $500 and $1,500 per appointment. Might sound expensive, but then when you convert that $500 appointment into an $80,000 partner split and you get $40,000 back, well, it feels pretty good. But keep in mind that if you're only willing or able to spend $100, $200, $300 a month, you're probably not going to generate much of anything in the way of appointments. Again, this stuff is okay. It's okay to be like, hey, either I don't have the money to spend on marketing, or I don't want to use my money yet. I want to spend my time. If you are thinking in your head, hey, I've got a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month marketing budget, and I want to spend it, for those of you that are in the inner circle, I would love to have those individual conversations with you about how to spend that money, right? We want you to do it in the most effective way. Each one of those strategies that I just mentioned are a training in and of itself. So this is an intro to the partnership, what you should be worried about, what you should be focused on. But if you said to me, hey, I want to run a mailing campaign, like that's a separate conversation. I've got to know your budget. I've got to know what areas you want to target and all that good stuff. Very, very, very happy to have those conversations with anybody who's interested. Now, for the vast majority of people, the 80 or 90% of people that are listening, you're going to say, hey, I would love to have a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month marketing budget, but I can't afford it, or I'm not willing to part with my money yet, right? So what do? So then you've got to pick a strategy where you're generating seller appointments each and every week, doing things that you are willing to do every day. When I talk about these strategies, you have to do them every day. Like this is not like a once a week thing, not a once a month thing. It's like every day, an hour to 3 hours. Yeah, if you can do more, do more. But of course, let's be realistic here about what, you're capable of doing. So if you're going to spend time, there are 4 strategies that work. And I'll talk about them in a little bit of detail. The first one is calling. The second one is texting. The third one is door knocking. And the fourth one is agent referrals. Okay. So I'm going to talk about all of these in general. Again, I'm checking the chats. If you guys have any questions as we're kind of going along, please type them in. Happy to cover anything that anybody wants. I still don't see anything in the chat, which is totally cool. You guys know I'm capable of just talking on my own. I do it most of the time. But hey, if you've got questions, use this as an opportunity to ask. Okay. So let's talk about those things in general, right? So cold calling and cold texting are similar, kind of like beasts. First thing I'll just say is you want to do this compliantly. Okay. So there's compliant ways to call and text, and there are ways to do it that are illegal. Okay. There are a lot of laws surrounding texting and calling. So you just want to be smart about it. But regardless, most of the time, if you're willing to call or text, it comes down to how many calls or texts are you going to get out in a day? How many conversations are you going to have? And based on that, it's going to turn into a certain number of appointments. We all know, right? If you call or you text somebody, in most cases, they're going to say no. In most cases, they're going to say, why are you bothering me? I'm not interested. So the calling and texting method, you just have to have some thick skin. You have to have a number in your head of people you want to reach every day. And the book that I would recommend if you're thinking about going down that path is a book called Go for No. Go for No, the theory of it, and it's definitely true in real life, is the goal is to see how many no's you can get in a day. Might sound counterintuitive, but if you get 50 people a day to tell you no through texting or calling, you're going to get a certain percentage of those people to say yes. Where most people struggle is that their expectations of how many no's they're going to get versus how many yeses they're going to get are just unrealistic. So if you text, 1,000 people, you're going to get 100 replies. 98 of them are going to say no, and 2 are going to say yes. So you want to track how many no's you're getting on a day-to-day basis. Read the book Go for No, and use a compliant calling or text messaging software. One that we've used in the past is called Lead Sherpa, LeadSherpa. There are a million of these, though. Just like any CRM, There's a saying with CRMs, the best CRM is the one that you use. The best dialing or texting mechanism is the one that you use. Like, which one are you going to use every day? Has to be every day. If you're hearing this and you're like, I can't call or text people every day, I will freak out and hate my life, then don't do it. Doesn't have to be one of your strategies, because I'm going to shift now into the other two strategies. Next strategy is door hangers / door knocking. They're kind of the same thing, in my opinion. If you can't afford to mail, there's no better thing that you can do but leave a door hanger on a door, right? Like, going up and down neighborhoods, leaving a door hanger on a door is actually more effective than a mailer. Why? Well, think about this like from a logical perspective. When you pick up your mail, depending on the day, maybe you have 5 things, maybe you have 20 things, whatever. What's your goal with mail? Literally, everyone's goal is the same thing: to figure out what stuff to throw away and what stuff to open. When you get a mailer, and when people see my mailer now, they're probably, most of them, like, I know what this is, I'm not even going to look at it, right? That's, not exactly, a good thing. When you leave a door hanger on somebody's door, 100% of the time, they're going to look at that door hanger. They have to, right? Nobody's going to walk up to their door, close their eyes, and just rip up whatever's in front of them. So I don't know the formula of like how many door hangers are equal to a mailer, but let's just say it's like, every 1 door hanger is worth 2 mailers. So again, do the math on that. Go door to door. If you're comfortable door knocking, it's better because you can have that face-to-face interaction. I don't think it's necessary per se. I think it's better, but not necessary. I don't think anybody would have a ton of fear of putting a door hanger on somebody's door. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is one way to generate leads that's completely cost-free. And again, what houses you target, where you put them, that stuff that if you're seriously contemplating that, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you about how to run a campaign that's going to get you, the best results that you can by doing that. And the last mechanism on how to do this, and again, you just need one. You just need one of these, right? Because I don't know, what everybody's goal is, but if you want to make $100K a year doing this, you only need 3 deals. You only need 3 deals. Like, it's not, maybe even 2, depending on whether they're really good. So the fourth way, I'm sorry, has a couple of pros and a couple of cons, and it's agent networking. The big negative with agent networking for deals is that you're not going to get a listing from it. So it depends on what your objectives are, and again, what you're comfortable with and what you're willing to spend a couple hours a day on. But if you're agent networking, it's going to be an easy way to get in front of agents to let them know, hey, you're looking for houses to flip, and to make sure that you've got a value prop so that agent wants to go to you. In most cases, most agents, when they come across a flip opportunity, are going to see it, put it on the MLS, and make 2 or 3%. When they send it to you, one value prop you could have is that you're not going to co-broke it, and they're going to make the full amount without even having to put it on the MLS. It's pretty beneficial. So one question I do get asked, and I want to address with agent referrals, is people always say to me, well, if you're offering this agent partnership program, why would anybody go to me? Great question. It's actually shocking to me how few people know about the partnership program that even follow me. So the last event that I did, I think there were like 70 people there, 80 people there, whatever, less than 100, but a good size room. And first thing I started out with is I said, raise your hand if you know about the agent partnership program. These are people coming to my event. About half the room raised their hand. So meaning 30 or 40 people did not even know about the partnership program that were coming to my event. Now think about how few know just outside of that, right? Some of the best deals come from agents that don't think about investing ever, list a lot of homes, they come across these opportunities, and they don't even know they're opportunities. There is an enormous amount of damage that you can do just by agent networking, right? So again, what would that look like on a day-to-day basis? The first thing I would look at is say, where do I want to get my flip opportunities? What towns? Then I would say, okay, who are the top 20 agents in that town for listings? And I would try to have coffee, I would call them, and I would try to build relationships with those people, right? The more agents that you have relationships with, the more deals you're going to get. And again, even if they know about my program, most agents aren't going to come across by accident a ton of these deals a year. So who are they going to go to? Just like with real estate sales, right? They may think I'm a great agent, but if their buddy is just an okay agent, they're probably going to their buddy. That's just how reality works. So if you have a relationship with an agent and they kind of just know me, they're going to you first, right? So if you make it a habit of building those relationships, getting to know people, and most of you already do. This is why the agent investor thing is so powerful. You guys co-broke with people. You already have them on your social media platforms. And that goes to like the other thing that's kind of a no-brainer, which is to not be a secret agent investor and let people know that you're looking for deals. Let your sphere know that you're looking for deals. Let the agents in your network know that you're looking for deals. So again, like all of the things that I just mentioned, all of the paid or free ways are all ways to grow your business anyways. Again, this is stuff, even if you just said to me, what should I be doing to grow my retail business? I would say go after sellers. Okay, well, that's all good and well, but now you add the partnership thing in, you just have an extra avenue to make more money. That's all it is. It's an extra way to make more than a traditional listing that some sellers are going to value, some are not, and we're going to help you kind of like every step of the way. And that's the basics of this partnership program. It's a great program, but it is something that if you really want to do it, you have to be actively trying to do it. You're not going to find investing deals by accident. You're not going to get rich by accident. You're not going to have a whole lot of things in your life happen by accident, right? I mean, I think we're all aware of that stuff. Yet, most people will get excited about this program and not take action, okay? So what do? You've got to say, hey, step one, either you're going to do it or you're not. If you've listened to me so far today and you're like, hey, I don't like the sound of it, I'm going to do something different, that's cool. Cross it off your list. Don't think about the agent partnership program anymore. I might not agree with you, but I'll respect that decision. And you can just do whatever you were normally doing. And, maybe you have, a lot of great things in your life going on that don't involve this program. But if you decide today, right, today's the day to decide whether you want to do this. If you decide that you want to do it, the next step is you've got to figure out how to generate those seller appointments, right? And then start to put that into place. And, I do posts all the time that talk about like starting small. Just like, again, like everything in life, our brains tell us, oh, generating these seller appointments is going to be this big undertaking and we make a mountain out of a molehill. When in reality, like start off really small, like tiny. Okay. If you're going to make calls, make 5 calls a day, right? And then you can always go to 10 the next week. Door knock 5 houses. Do something very small, but do it consistently. I don't care if you door knock 2 houses a week for the first month, but you do it every single day. The consistency is the most important part. Tiny, tiny, tiny gains over the course of time is how you win in business. Okay. Do not set a goal tomorrow. Like if you've never door knocked, do not say you're going to door knock 200 doors next week. Say that you're going to door knock 20 doors. And if you do 20 and you're feeling good, keep going. But don't set a goal that's too high. Don't set a goal that's going to give you anxiety. Set a goal that's laughable to you. Oh, I'm going to make 3 phone calls a week. Perfect. Start out making 3 phone calls a week, 3 texts a week. If you do 3 and you're still feeling good, keep going. If not, stop, right? But again, this is where, the people here that are in Cameron, you guys have an advantage, right? Because the gap and why, by the way, most of the deals that I do come from the inner circle. Why? Number one, I'm in front of you all the time, virtually or in person. We pay you, right? You're getting commissions from our company. So you're aware of us doing this stuff. So your brain is already a little bit like more tuned in than everybody else. But the second part is I'm available for you guys 24/7, 365 on strategies on how to get seller appointments. It's probably the thing that I'm the best at. Like I'm very good at seller lead gen strategy. Utilize that. Like you're here, you're technically paying to be at this brokerage, right? So utilize that. Utilize me, ask questions, and we'll help you. You know, and obviously we've got more resources outside of just myself, but you know, there's plenty of people here that can help you. But you know, go to me. Don't be afraid to go to me. Ask me a question, right? But again, keep in mind the questions I love. The questions I love are questions on how do I make money? How do I generate more business? Not tactical, like on the appointment. What do we say if you don't have an appointment? We've got to go in order here. The order is get the appointment. You get an appointment, I'll answer 500 questions about that appointment. But think about getting the appointment first. Okay. So again, not seeing any questions come in. I'm going to check the chat again. I don't have a lot more else to say. Let me just double check. Oh, Chuck just texted me. There's a lot of questions. They're not coming in on my screen. Let me check Cam Coaching because maybe they're being asked in there. And I apologize. There's a few comments. All right. So I see a few. All right. So Anthony said, so I apologize, guys. You know, type the questions when you have them. I only see a few though. So if I'm missing any, type them into Cameron Coaching. The first one is, how do we submit a deal? You reach out to me through Facebook Messenger. I'm going to connect you with an acquisition person that can go on the appointment with you. You know, I've said this a lot with the, you know, Inner Circle program. Start with me. All right. People make a mistake. They start with somebody else who doesn't know the questions. Start with me. I might push you to somebody else if I think somebody else can help you better, but start with me. Always start with Facebook Messenger. Guys, I'm on this thing. Like I literally went to my chiropractor this morning. He made me, you guys, some of you might know him, Brian Rucco. I went to him. I had my phone while he was giving me an adjustment. He goes, dude, put your phone down. You're like a teenager. But he knows, like, I am addicted to this thing. Maybe in a bad way, but maybe in a good way, right? So if you send me a message on Facebook, I'm going to freaking respond. There's no doubt about that. Send me a message. How long is the typical process from start to finish? It varies. I mean, that's a tough question to answer because like we go out to the appointment. When do they want to sell? They might want to close in 3 weeks. They might want to close in 6 months. How long does the reno take? Could be a month. It could be 3 weeks. It could be 3 months. It could be 6 months. That is the type of stuff that, like, you know, clearly we go to a fire damaged property that needs to be rebuilt. It's going to take a lot longer than like a house that your grandmother lived in where it just needs to be like slightly refurbished. So the good thing is you don't need to know these questions, right? I'm answering them, but you don't really need to know them because you don't have an appointment yet. Let's get the appointment. How do we stay informed on different stages of the process? So most of my answers for like this type of stuff is go through me. Go through me, air quotations, bother me. You're not actually going to bother me, but bother me. And if for some reason you ask me a question that, you know, doesn't fall under my, you know, jurisdiction per se, I'll put you in touch with somebody else. But go through me. I'm looking to help you guys. Anthony said, you mentioned this as potential part-time for agents and extra income, which is great. Is there a program for agents wanting to do this full-time? Yeah, do more of everything that I just said. Like this is not like so if you were going to door knock 5 doors this is the great thing, right? This is the great thing about this business is that in order to generate seller appointments, you need to do those activities. I'm going to give you guys kind of like another thing just to think about, because another question I get all the time is like, what works the best? They all work the same. So they're all worth 1 point. I want you to think about this for a second. If you make a call, it's worth 1 point. You send a text, it's worth 1 point. You do a door knock, it's worth 1 point. You send a letter, it's worth 1 point. You post and it reaches one person, it's 1 point. Your goal is to get as many points in the week as possible. However, you can do that. So how do you do it full time? You just do more of those things, right? So somebody who's doing this part time, maybe they're door knocking. I'm just giving door knocking as a simple example. Could be calling, could be mailing, could be anything. Somebody who's part time, maybe they're doing it 2 days a week. Somebody who's full time, maybe they're doing it 6. It's the only difference. Everything is the same about it. You're generating seller appointments. We're helping you the same. I don't, when somebody sends me a question, I don't say, hey, are you part-time or full-time? It doesn't matter to me. You're getting a deal. You're getting the same help as somebody who's putting in 80 hours a week. So you're just doing more of everything. Jennifer, great question. How do we evaluate which seller appointments are valuable for you to come out on? You don't. We go on every one, and you don't worry about that. I am deadly serious when I say the only thing you need to worry about is generating a seller appointment. Legitimately, like this presentation could have been 60 seconds. Get a seller appointment, we'll do the rest. You don't have to worry about that, because think about this from my perspective. Let's say I had to teach everybody how to do this, right? Oh, let me teach you how to screen one, right? I'm gonna have to teach literally thousands of agents what a better appointment is versus not. Think about how much time that takes. I'd rather just see the appointment, right? Show me the appointment. Let us go out on the appointment. And you'll learn by sending us every appointment, because what I can tell you is everybody who hasn't done a lot of these deals has preconceived notions about what they look like. And in reality, they usually look a lot different than what you think. So I've had agents send me like, hey, I don't know, like this house is really low priced. I don't know if you'd be interested in it. I'm like, that's like perfect. So you don't need to know that. And I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about getting appointments, sending them to me. And we're going to go on almost all of them. Like, yes, if you send me, a home builder just constructed a $2.5 million home in Lexington, they would consider an offer before it hits the MLS. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that that's not going to make a lot of sense for us. But other than that, send us everything. All right, let me double check the comments again. Again, I don't think I see anything else in here. Somebody said, are we able to provide sellers with proof of funds? We can, but we almost never do. I mean, we come out there. We can give a seller a proof of funds if they need it. In the 125 houses we did this past year, 100 to 125, we might have done like one proof of funds. Because when we go out there, again, this is why you want us to go out, right? You go out on your own, they're going to be like, oh, is this person legit? We go out, there's no question. We're 60 minutes into a conversation. They have no doubt that like we're going to close on their property, because every question they've asked us, they're getting a response that's a no-brainer to them. So yes, we're willing to give a proof of funds. It's an easy thing to do, but we almost never do because we never really have to. Again, like somebody Googles us, you see a lot of credibility there. But yeah, we're willing to do it. I'm only just pointing out that most people don't even ask, because by the time they've met with us, they have no doubt in their mind that we're a legitimate home buying company, and that funds are not going to be an issue. All right, I'm still just checking through because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Yeah, and so kind of like in summary here, like again, I know when I say some of this stuff, like it probably doesn't come off the right way. But I can't stress enough that like all you need to do is generate the appointment, right? Like that is really so important. That is really the only important thing. The rest of the stuff all falls into place. If you do multiple deals with us, which we're starting to do, repeat deals with different people, um, you're going to learn so much about this stuff like along the way. But it's stuff that you don't need to know until you actually start generating seller appointments. Once you start generating seller appointments, we go out on the seller appointments with you. We tell you how we came up with the numbers or how we came up with the repairs. Like you're going to get very much educated there. What you want to focus on getting educated on now is let me get educated on how to generate as many seller appointments as possible. The rest of the stuff will come by doing the first part. Okay. So you've got to reprogram your brain just a little bit. And I know that it's challenging. But that's the honest to God's truth about like what you need to be focused on. So I hope to do, as many deals with everybody as possible. You guys know, like if you're a part of Cameron, if you're in the inner circle, we will do every single deal that comes across our plate that you give us, right? Any deal that will make money, we'll do. If you're not in the inner circle, and we're busy, we may not do it, right? So the benefit to you of being in the inner circle is that you get the 24/7, 365 access to me for anything that you need help with. And the second part is we're going to guarantee that we're going to do deals with you if you bring them to the table. So make a decision. Like, are you going to do this? And then make a plan for how you're going to generate these seller appointments, and reach out to me if you need any help on the strategy of generating seller appointments. So I hope that this was valuable for you guys. Some of it might have been repeat, but like I have to say there's nothing else to know, truthfully. But reach out to me directly on Facebook on my Tommy Caffarella account, not the Tom Caffarella account. I don't check that one too much. Reach out to me anytime. I'll help you guys as much as I can. I want you guys to make big profits. The more big profits that you guys make, the more I can brag about how great this program is, the more deals I'm going to get, the more success stories I'm going to be able to talk about. So please, send us whatever you have. We'll help you as much as we can, and reach out to me when you